Morrissey was launched February 1st, 1894, after only 4 months of construction. They went straight out to the banks off of Newfoundland, the Grand Banks, and on November 8th, 1894, they came back with a record-breaking haul of 260,000 pounds of cod and 2,000 pounds of halibut, and that was under her first captain, William Morrissey, and S.E.M. Morrissey was the name of the ship after his daughter. The following year, Clayton Morrissey took over, William's son, 19 at the time, and in Gloucester, the fisherman statue is Clayton and the helm that we still have today, which is really cool. So she kept on fishing and breaking records for a while off the Grand Banks out of Gloucester for quite a few years before moving up to Nova Scotia, pretty much to do the same until Harold Bartlett bought the ship, and he used Effie at the time to freight and packet goods up and down the Labrador. Just before 1926, I don't know the exact year, he sold it to his cousin, Bob Bartlett, who was famous for turning the Morrissey into an Arctic exploration vessel, and that was from 1926 onward into about 1945, I believe. Almost every year, going up to the Arctic, doing exploration research of students. There's the Bartlett boys who were young students, like 13 years old, just going up. We still have the windlass from that time in our warehouse. And I think either a bowsprit or a piece of calf braille that a polar bear scratched up, because they're just getting animals, doing what they could, having fun. Probably almost dying a few times, but that's okay because they didn't. And then in 1947, after being sold by Bob Bartlett, or I believe he died, and the ship was sold to some brothers who wanted to take the vessel south for packet and everything, but they decided that she wasn't any good for it, and they didn't want to deal with that, and the mysterious galley fire broke out, quote unquote on mysterious. We're pretty sure it was a tax fraud or whatever. Insurance scam, I should say. That's the theory. I can't confirm if that's true for this. So they sunk her at that point, December 3rd, 1947, froze her again, and Luisa Mendez bought the vessel for her father-in-law, Enrique Mendez. He renamed the vessel in 1947 to Ernestina after his own daughter, so we're no longer S.E.M. Morrissey, we're just Ernestina. And she became a Cape Verdean packet vessel going across the Atlantic from Cape Verde, which is islands off the northwest coast of Africa. So that's a lot of the importance of the ship in New Bedford, because there is a large community of Cape Verdean Americans whose families, or who personally was on the vessel immigrating. A gentleman who was on the vessel and immigrated told me that the professional crew was very small, and you would pay for your immigration by being crew on board for 8 runs back and forth. So then eventually, Enrique Mendez got another vessel, a motor vessel. The vessel began to slow down, so each of her trips took longer and longer, and it just wasn't becoming profitable when Enrique Mendez had another motor vessel that's doing the same trips more efficiently. So Ernestina, unfortunately, was tied up to a dock where she stayed for quite a few years until she was handed over to whatever government power would own the ship, and eventually the Prime Minister of Cape Verde gifted the vessels back to the people of the state of Massachusetts as a sign of shared friendship and shared history, which is really awesome. Since then, she has been the state ship of Massachusetts as a cruising vessel until around 2005 when she lost her COI and things looked really bad, like not safe to sail at all. Then come 2015, we began our restoration. And here we are. What we see today most closely resembles how she looked when she was fishing, but when the Arctic exploration came, they sheathed the whole in Australian greenheart, which is a really, really strong type of wood that can handle ice like that. And they also added her first engine in 1926. I don't know if they added this, but I know on other wooden Arctic exploration vessels that sheathed the bow in metal to cut through ice. I don't know if that's true for this vessel. And then for the packet, they made her rig smaller, so our masts are about 70 feet. They cut those down just to make it easier to handle going back and forth. All the mail would be in the fish hold or the engine room. They took out her engine for packet. So she had it for Arctic exploration, lost it for packet filling, and then gained it again for education. I think the total price of the restoration was $12 million, coming from, I believe, some from the Academy, I know for sure, in the recent years, a lot from SEMA, the Schooner Ernestina-Morrissey Association, raising funds, and a lot from the state as well. Her name first was S.E.M. Morrissey, then became Ernestina. We're just Ernestina Morrissey to combine both those histories now. So the huge community push for sure, coming from a lot of different sources. Every day, we have people walking up to the boat asking for a tour, and usually, yeah, they know sorry, but then they go on about how the vessel means so much to them, and they're so happy that we're back and we're doing the work that we're doing. Last week, it was Cape Verdean week for New Bedford. We hosted a tour and had a whole party, and everyone walked up to me like, my family came on board this vessel. Thank you for being here. And it was just really exciting.